Hello, hello. It's Shakespeare time. When last we saw. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but this is, most of Shakespeare's plays are written about a time far away in a land far away. Shakespeare had like 300 years of history to draw upon. This book called Hollingshed was the major history book of the time. So he put his plays all throughout history. Romeo and Juliet is modern day. It takes place in Verona, which is not England, so there's a little bit of separation there, but not much. It's basically, I think, an after-school special, a horrifying after-school special, ripped from the headlines. And so far, we have seen a scary street fight get broken up. We have met Romeo and Benvolio and learned that Romeo is in love with a young woman who wants to be a nun, so it's impossible, and he's very sad about that. Benvolio has said, "Hey, why don't you come to this party that's happening tonight? Maybe you'll see someone there that'll take your mind off this woman that you're pining for." And then we have met Juliet and her mother and her nurse, and we've learned that Juliet is a very good girl. She's not rebelling at this point in her life yet. And we've learned that her mother is kind of vain and lies about her age, and that her nurse is her actual mother, really, psychologically speaking. She's the one that raised her. She's the one that breastfed her. She's the one that collapses and giggles in memories of Juliet when she was younger. And then we have learned that the nurse has lost her own biological daughter. We don't know how, but that the nurse really loves Juliet a lot and really thinks of her as a daughter. And now we come to, I think it's 1-4, Act 1, Scene 4, yep. And we meet Mercutio. So it's going to be a scene with Romeo, Benvolio, and Mercutio now, another friend of Romeo and Benvolio, and they're on their way to this party. And they, if the production can afford it, there's some other guys who don't talk, but they're the friends of these guys too. So the guys are going to the party. And once again, this is a reason why plays should be seen, not read, is that there's a lot of humor and a lot of wit flowing around in this scene. But all of the jokes are completely dated and without an actor's help to serve the words very carefully to a modern ear. When you just read it, it's just like, what are they talking about? And the scene has exactly the opposite effect of what it was intended to. The thing is that wit was prized above all in Shakespeare's time. The ability to turn language in a witty way, to find a new metaphor or flip a word in a new way, that was the highest thing you could do. Man or woman with a good wit, they had social power. And so we meet these guys who are very witty, and it's you're supposed to be like, whoa, these guys are amazing. Oh, they're so smart. Oh, I like these guys a lot. And they're just throwing metaphors and bouncing off each other in a really funny way. And somehow, if you see the play, that scene should have that effect on the audience. They should really say, these guys are tight. Even if all of the jokes are not understood, we should get a sense that they're playing off each other, that they're telling jokes, that they're smart, and that they have wit. And the one with the most wit is Mercutio. We have to fall in love with Mercutio. He's the wittiest of all of them, and he proves it with a speech which I'll read to you today, the Queen Mab speech. So basically, they're just dragging Romeo to this party and trying to convince him to go, and that when you get in there, Romeo, you got to start dancing. And Romeo's like, I can't dance. I'm just too sad. I'm weighted down by love. Well, ride Cupid's wings and ride above the crowd. No, love is horrible. And they're trying to get their friend to try to enjoy himself tonight if he possibly can. And Romeo is just having none of it. But all of this time, we're falling in love with all of them because they're so witty. But I mean, in this, I don't know if you can see this, but there's this much text and this many footnotes trying to understand all the jokes. I mean, it's just crazy. But really, in the hands of really good actors, a lot can be understood. At least you can understand that these guys are smart and funny, and we love them. So I'm going to read today. Romeo says, look, we mean well in going to this this party, but 'tis no wit to go. It's not smart to go. And Mercutio says, why, may one ask? Romeo says, well, I dreamt a dream tonight. Mercutio looks and goes, well, so did I. Romeo says, well, what was yours? Mercutio says, that dreamers often lie, L-I-E. Dreamers often lie. And then Romeo flips it and says lying, as in lying in bed. He says, well, yeah, in bed, asleep, while they do dream things true. And then Mercutio just unloads on him with this dazzling speech about Queen Mab, who's a little tiny fairy, and he describes how small she is. She's riding around in a coach made of a chestnut. The wagon spokes are spiders' legs. The cover of the coach are the wings of grasshoppers. Her traces are the parts that connect the horse to the coach. Traces are smallest spider web. The collars for the horses are the moonshine's watery beams. Her whip, cricket's bone. Okay, so that you need to understand. So he's going into how small and what these things are built on. Just trying to give you some of the footnotes. That's probably enough. The audience is not going to understand every single thing about the Queen Mab speech, but what they should, again, language is the special effects of the day. So Mercutio just unloads with this incredible witty speech, and the audience should just be dazzled by his wit. Problem being, in modern days, the audience is not going to understand a lot of things that are being said. So I think if one plays Mercutio, you have to go through this fast. You have to not belabor things. And you have to come off as a very witty, you have to a very witty guy. So above all, we don't have to understand everything, but we have to understand this guy is tight with language, and he is someone that we're drawn to. So he goes, oh, then I see Queen Mab hath been with you. She is the fairy's midwife. And she comes in shape no bigger than an agate stone on the forefinger of an alderman, drawn with a team of little atomy over men's noses as they lie asleep. Her wagon spokes are made of long spinner's legs, the cover of the wings of grasshoppers, her traces of the smallest spiderweb, her collars of the moonshine's watery beams, her whip of cricket's bone, the lash of film. Her wagoneer, a small gray-coated gnat, not half so big as a round little worm pricked from the lazy finger of a maid. Her chariot is an empty hazelnut, made by the joiner squirrel or old grub, time out of mind the fairies' coachmakers. And in this state, she gallops night by night through lovers' brains. And then they dream of love. Over courtiers' knees that dream on curtsies straight, over lawyers' fingers who straight dream on fees, over ladies' lips who straight on kisses dream, which oft the angry Mab with blisters plagues, because their breaths with sweetmeats tainted are. Sometimes she gallops over a courtier's nose and then dreams he of smelling out a suit. And sometimes comes she with a tithe pig's tail, tickling a parson's nose as he lies asleep, and then dreams he of another benefice. Sometimes she driveth over a soldier's neck, and then he dreams of cutting foreign throats, of breaches, ambuscados, Spanish blades, of healths 5 fathom deep. And then anon drums in his ear, at which he starts and wakes, and being thus frightened, swears a prayer or two and sleeps again. This is that very mab that plaits the manes of horses in the night, and bakes the elf locks in foul, sluttish hairs, which once untangled much unfortune bodes. This is the hag, when maids lie on their backs, that presses them and learns them first to bear, making them women of good carriage. This is she. Oh, Romeo says, oh, peace, peace, Mercutio, peace, thou talkst of nothing. Mercutio says, true, I talk of dreams, which are the children of an idle brain, begot of nothing but vain fantasy. So, Mercutio could have just said, who cares if you had a dream? That doesn't mean anything. But no, he's very witty, so he just goes on and on about how dreams mean nothing. And they finally get Romeo into this party and the scene ends. But the most important thing is that we fall in love with Mercutio, which will be very important later in the play. Okay, until next time, bye.